And now we're ready for my roasted filet of beef and my braised brisket of beef. Let me show you how to slice each of these. Now, with brisket, the most important thing to do is to look for the grain. You want to slice against the grain and at a 45-degree angle. The same is true for all types of braised beef dishes, such as pot roast as well. Now, brisket has a small flap of meat across the top that has a false grain. And you can see this tiny piece of beef here on the top, this little layer where the grain is going towards me. But the rest of the brisket, the other 95% of it, the grain is going across this way. So I find that grain and I go at 45-degree angle, some nice, thin, broad slices, and I'm using this beautiful, classic meat slicer here, and it allows me to get nice, broad, thin slices. By holding my knife steady, positioning my left hand, my opposed hand, on the beef to keep it steady, just a gentle sawing motion, and I let the slicer do the work for me. That broad, flat blade is ideal for this type of application, and you can see here I'm getting these nice, thin slices. You can almost see through some of those. And it's that simple. Now, let me show you a roasted filet of beef. Now, this is the whole tenderloin. We've trimmed it down. We browned it in a saute pan for about 3-4 minutes on each side to put some nice crust on it. The reason we did that before we put it in the oven is very simple. It's not going to spend enough time in the oven to get a char all around it, because it only took about 20 minutes at 475 degrees. And here, I'm going to do the exact same thing. 45-degree angle, and I'm going to make some nice bold strokes, except with this cut, I don't want paper-thin slices. I'm going to be serving some nice 1/3 of an inch thick portions. I'm going on a slight angle. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful color? And it's just that simple. You can just keep going all the way down the filet. Oh, there's a beautiful piece of flank steak. Flank steak is very popular these days. It's used for all sorts of dishes, from fajitas to beef for stir fry. And one of the big issues with flank steak is cutting it very, very thin before you work with it. Now, what I've done is I've placed it in the freezer for 30 or 45 minutes just to get it firm enough so I can slice it a little easier. But it's also now a little harder than it would be in its natural raw state, and for that reason, I've selected this serrated slicer. If I take my beef, put it on my cutting board, and again, at a 45-degree angle with nice, sure sawing motion, take that end piece off, and I can cut those paper-thin slices that are so important for a dish like this. There are those nice, beautiful, thin slices. And you can just let those defrost and get ready for your next application, whether it's marinating or going right into the frying pan.